is Steve Sampson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Today, our guest is going to be Patsy Brown, candidate for Clark County Public Administrator. But before we get to Ms. Brown, Jim, you have anything?
Yeah, a mutual friend.
I don't have friends. Except for you.
Right.
Patsy.
Yeah.
Andre.
But a mutual friend, and you actually ran against him at one point, like when you were a lot younger, wiser,
had hair.
Yeah. But
no facial hair.
Yeah. All joking aside, though, Steve Ross, it's very unfortunate that former city councilman Steve Ross passed away. Believe it or not, he's actually the first political candidate that I had ever interviewed.
Really?
Yeah, it was back in 2008 when you had to go to New York. I think it was for a birthday. So you went back to New York, and Sage Bocook and I covered the show. And we had two guests on. We had Steve Ross and we had Joel Jarvis on. So, and throughout the years of interviewing Steve and talking to him from time to time, obviously him being a Democrat, myself being a Republican, we didn't always see eye to eye on public policy necessarily, but he taught me a lot about how city government worked. And I had a lot of respect for him personally. And I just think that that's the great thing about, and thank you, Steve, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of Veterans of Politics, because over the years, I've been able to meet certain individuals like Steve Ross. If it wasn't for this organization, I never would have gotten that opportunity. I would have heard Steve Ross, Democrat, want nothing to do with him. But we ended up becoming pretty good friends, and we had some pretty good conversations over the years. Yeah. So I would like to take a moment of silence for Steve Ross. I think he was a very important figure in this community.
Okay. Condolence to the family and friends of Steve Ross as well.
Other than that, I don't really have any rants. Other than, obviously, I feel bad about the last show we did when I was naming off dates, and you're like, oh, by the way, what is tomorrow? And I had forgotten it was September 11th. And well, first off, I feel bad for that because, ironically enough, I had actually talked a couple weeks after September 11th when, everybody had the American flags on their car doors and patriotism was running rampant, which was a good thing. And I said, give it 5 years and nobody will remember that day, except for those individuals that directly were impacted forever. Yeah. And so I just felt bad that I had forgotten about that day. Because I actually ended up becoming one of the people I talked bad about, and then I actually ended up becoming one of them. But I think you and viewers and listeners know how supportive I am of the military and how patriotic I am. So.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to say that.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Patsy Brown, tell us about yourself.
Hello. Hi, guys. How are you? Patsy Brown, running for public administrator.
I kind of like that name. It's kind of like a...
It's jazzy.
Movie star name.
Jazzy.
Yeah. Is that your real name, by the way?
It is. Okay. A lot of times Patsy is short for Patricia. Mm-hmm. No, it's Patsy. Okay. I'm actually a namesake. I was named after my grandmother, who was Patsy Brown as well. Beautiful. So okay. Patsy is the name. But before I start, I want to send condolences to Jeff German's family, friends, his family at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Yeah. Horrible situation. Yes. I just wanted to say that. And also thank you guys for everyone that sent condolences to me for my dad's recent passing. Really appreciated that.
It's been bad years.
Yeah.
It's been a bad year.
Whirlwind.
It's been a whirl. But you know what? It could be worse.
Yes, true.
That's how I was raised. Thanks, Dad. So it could be worse.
Right.
So we're going to be grateful because, we have hands right now and we're sitting here.
They said if you're 6 feet above ground, you're doing good.
It's my slogan. If I woke up in the morning, I can deal with anything else. So yeah, very grateful for that. So I just wanted to say that really quickly. No, for sure. Wife, mother, oldest sister of 5, where my political career began, arguing for the bathroom. And clothes, 5 girls. It's an issue. It's a situation. We had, I believe you call it a Jack and Jill. Okay. So it's a bathroom in between 2 bedrooms where two over here, 2 over here, 1 day. Yeah. Right. It's a situation. Yeah. Girls,
and plus females have all kinds of stuff.
People
makeup
have time.
Bag.
It's a thing.
Right.
It's a thing. I know. So yeah, that
I live with 2 females. So.
Oh yeah, you do, don't you? But yeah,
well, we don't fight over the bathroom.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't at all. I started career-wise working for the family. Mm-hmm. I've been paying invoices and paying vendors since I was about 9 years old.
Wow.
Family business was scrap metal. Okay. So we had a huge factory stateside in California, as well as overseas in China. Oh. Main business is computer trays. So we recycle computer trays. Okay. The ones that we don't recycle, we melt down back into a raw good and sell that. Okay. We're also in the restaurant business, so I handled that.
What type of food?
Soul food. Oh. M&M soul food. If you want to laugh, should I even say it?
I've heard of M&M soul food. You talking about here in Vegas?
Not the one here in Vegas. I had 8 stores in California.
Oh, so you ran them all?
I did. Me and my dad.
How far were these stores? Because California's pretty huge.
So we were a few in LA. The flagship store was King and Crenshaw, but Pasadena, Long Beach, Hollywood and Highland, Kodak Theater. Yeah. All over West Side Pavilion. We were there. But if you want a really good laugh, and I usually don't tell people this, but if you go to Flavor of Love, season 2, episode 3, I think it is.
You're talking about Flavor Flav with the big
Yes. Okay. So he had his contestants come to my store and work for me for a day. Oh, so if you want to laugh, you can go check that out. Wow. Yeah, when I was managing.
Did they have a sheriff's card?
The what?
Sheriff's card. Because they're working in a restaurant.
They didn't have those back then.
Did they have a health card?
Oh yeah, no, they didn't have. No.
Did they have their hair?
It was a production. They had hair nets when they were the few that were in the kitchen.
Right. And they wore gloves.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't know Steve was an ocean inspector. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. This guy has so many roles.
It was a show. Listen, and production. So they were doing chickens or whatever with real chickens, but that's not what we really do. Okay. Just watch the show if you want to laugh. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah. I have to rewind this to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you're so silly. Oh my God. Okay. Focus back to. So I did that with the family. Okay. And I pretty much acted as the in-house lawyer for the family.
So you have a law degree?
I have a law degree.
Okay.
I have a law degree.
You have a law license?
I do not have a law license. I'm not licensed in Nevada.
Were you licensed in California?
I was not licensed in California.
You just have a law license and then go for the bar?
Well, so one more time, I'm overseas in China. Uh-huh. They don't care anything about our stateside licensing. So what I was doing in my specialty, it didn't make a difference.
Why were you in China?
Because that's where the family factory is, in Shenzhen.
So you spend time over there?
Yeah.
Oh, what part?
Shenzhen City, Guangzhou province.
Could you speak?
I used to know a little Cantonese when I was going once a month for a week at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, no.
So this is for the restaurant, right?
No, that's for the scrap metal.
The scrap metal
business, so which we still have, and we still do.
Oh, so you did the both at the same time? Mm-hmm. The metal and the food. Mm-hmm. Boy, you're a busy beaver. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
You were rolling the cash, weren't you?
It was good. It was good. But what was it, 2008? I think the recession happened.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So the restaurant business slowed down.
Got it.
And that's when I took that law information and started doing government contracts. Right. So I started with local state contracts. Mm-hmm. So in Vegas, they have them here as well. So I got a contract with our local state in California for my church. Right. So instead of going to the county office there, you come to our church and get EBT services. With the local funeral home, they had a contract for as-needed cremation services. So a lot of unclaimed bodies that go to the county, when they're not claimed, they have to still cremate them. So I got that contract for our local funeral home. And no, in California. When I found out about those local contracts, they don't pay very well. Mm-hmm. They're usually like a net 90 or net 120. You got to put a lot of money up front. Right. So then I got into the federal contracts, which I eventually got into USPS, which is United States Postal Service, which is what I do still today. Okay. And they pay very well. So I like them.
All right. Okay. So this is all in Cali?
No. So my federal contracts are in North Dakota, South Dakota. They're in Texas. I'm in California. I'm in Vegas. No, I'm nationwide with those contracts. And they're a minimum of 6 years. They go up to 12. I can renew. And I have. I've been doing it for about 16 years now. Okay.
So how long you been in Vegas?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. But I've been coming here for about 21 years. Okay. For the magic show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your tenure here in Vegas. Okay. And you know what? You mentioned sisters and but I didn't hear anything about kids. You got kids?
I have 3 children.
All right.
Yeah. 3 beautiful children.
Okay. There we go. All right. So now you're here in Vegas and what have you done since you've been here?
Run my federal contracts nationwide. So USPS, like I said. I took an attempt or 2 at some political offices.
Which ones?
The Soroka recall for city council.
Oh.
Which is where I met you for the first time.
She ran against your little girlfriend there.
Who?
Milo.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
No.
VS. Just to sleep with that.
Oh, Victoria?
Oh, your little girlfriend.
You love
I was
Victoria?
going to say.
Victoria?
I don't dislike her, but I don't know where the whole girlfriend thing came.
All right, go ahead.
I think
so. You
think that's Mark Menendez.
I got you 2 guys mixed up. I'm so sorry.
White people all don't look alike, Steve, man. Come on. Jeez. Mixing me up with Mark Menendez? That's low, Steve, man. I don't like you anymore, man.
But yeah, that's actually where I met you for the first time.
I remember that
endorsement interview.
What year was that?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know what I ate yesterday. I'm sorry. My time is time is bad. But yeah. And then I was introduced to politics then. Mm-hmm. I went for commissioner. After
so
that.
You ran again.
I ran again.
For county commissioner.
For county commissioner.
What district was this one?
That was District C.
Whose district is that?
And that Ross Miller right now.
Okay. And I remember you from then too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was COVID.
We got some history.
Yeah, we have a little history, but it was COVID. So I couldn't really, get out there or do anything. But I learned a lot. So I'm type A personality. Mm-hmm. I'm the girl that cried if I didn't get an A. On a paper, in class. So failure is really not an option, but I really like to study and learn things. Mm-hmm. And politics was new. Okay. And I have learned a lot in both of those previous races.
So both of those races, you never made it out of the primary?
I never made it out of the primary.
So now let's talk about
where I am now and that office.
Right.
So now
I've ran 5 times. I've never made it out of the primary.
Okay. Okay. That's okay.
I know.
Keep, that's what you want. Keep yeah, definitely. So for me, being a student of politics now, it was really important that my next run after the commission be one that I was really, I understood and something I really wanted to do. And it provided all of the things that I wanted personally. And I say that to say is that, so the position of public administrator is one that allows me to deal directly with the public, which is not something that I could have done city council or commission wise.
True.
And me personally, that's what made my decision and the difference. I'm a tree hugger, as people like to say, and my thing is I wanted to be in a position to actually interact with people on a day-to-day basis and not have all the politics in politics. Does that make sense?
But these are, you're going, public administrator's office, you go and you secure the assets, blah, blah, the assets. The
assets. I know what you're saying. Correct.
Oh my God.
Correct. But you're of
the deceased.
Correct. That's the first half. Mm-hmm. But what's the second half?
Tell me.
The second half is dealing with the family.
True.
And that's
once you find the family.
But listen, correct. Mm-hmm. And that's the interaction that I'm talking about. That's where the compassion, that's where the certain personality is required. Okay. Especially with my recent situation, a person's path, that's the worst time in a person's life when you lose a loved one. Right. You need a certain type of person
compassionate, empathetic,
right,
nurturing,
to deal with that. And unfortunately, that office has been in so much chaos. It's very difficult to do good work when we're fighting amongst ourselves. So as a result, Nevadans have not been serviced properly because there's been so much in-house drama.
Why did you pick this office?
Like I said, well, first of all, you want the inside joke? The inside joke?
Let's hear it.
I thought it was the bottom of the ballot. I thought it was going to be quiet. No one was going to really pay attention to that office. You know what I mean?
usually tell people, I'm like, you're running for judge, not public administrator.
Oh, you say that, I really thought it was going to be,
the quiet office. Nobody knows anything about it.
Right. So funny thing. Yeah. So when I first graduated from high school, and I went to one of those obscure independent private schools, right. I was always going for international type business. So I actually studied Spanish, Russian, and Japanese coming out of high school because of the family business. Mm-hmm. But I've always been, this tree hugger. So I actually was pre-med at UCLA for my undergrad.
Why didn't you get your law on? Why didn't you go get why didn't you go to the bar and get your law license?
Really? Because I never wanted to practice like that.
Okay.
I never
wanted the knowledge.
I wanted to be able to run my business personally, the family business personally, a certain kind of way. I was raised, you have a CPA, but you need to know certain things so you can direct that CPA or that attorney. Because they're not going to tell you everything. No one's going to look out for you like you look out for you.
And paralegal wasn't.
I have a paralegal. No, I got a paralegal.
Okay.
And I was doing all the paralegal.
Okay.
And then, especially in the business, when you have so many employees, we have 400 employees overseas in China. I had about 150 stateside with the restaurants. Mm-hmm. The product development firm had like 30. Okay. I'm dealing with employees. Listen, I can get rid of legal expenses by doing in-house. I can't get rid of payroll. Right. I can't get rid of people. Right. But my legal fees, and when you're doing business at a certain level and moving so much, you're going to get hit with certain legal situations. Okay. So if we could save on the legal fees, which I did, Well,
why don't you explain to us what is the public administrator's, or what's the duties of the public administrator?
Like you said. So when there's no will, or first of all, locating the next of kin, or there isn't a next of kin, we handle the estate. Or we also administer the estate for families who are unable to administer the estate for themselves. Sometimes, like I said, worst time in a person's life, they don't necessarily have the emotions, to deal with selling a house, selling a car, getting art appraised, what is it even art? They're going to throw it, let Goodwill pick it up. Oh my God, it's a Picasso. No way. Yeah. But they're emotionally distraught. So, we assist people with that process.
Well, and that's one of the things real quick that I really wanted to touch on with you, Patsy, is, and I could antiquate it to another position, but I don't necessarily want to just because it sounds awful, but it's actually the truth. And I'm going to do it anyway. So like people always ask like, okay, because both my parents had passed away and I had to, and I had to deal with certain situations, right? Mm-hmm. So people have always asked like, how can somebody be a coroner? Or how can somebody be the guy at the mortuary that embalms people? And how can somebody be the person that dresses somebody that's already passed for an open casket funeral? And I've always said, hey, I was blessed at the fact that there were people like that understood that this was a very traumatic time in my life. I had to deal with other issues. It was really nice to have people that could deal with that for me. And with the public administrator, this is just my interpretation of it, is that what ends up happening is like not everybody is astute as they should be and make sure that they have the proper living will. Right. That their property, if something were to happen to them, like right. Where does that property go?
You're absolutely right.
And so if people that, for whatever reason, don't do that prior, then the public administrator's job is very important to have somebody that does have the legal experience and is willing to take on that responsibility and make sure that family, when they pass away, that their family's assets aren't just absorbed by the government, that it's actually taken care of properly. So I really commend you for running for this office because it's a lot more important than people realize. It's one of those things where everybody's like, public administrator.
Right.
You know, I'm more worried about governor, who's senator, Congress, you know.
And I tell people, and I've been telling them on the campaign trail, like this is literally, to me, probably the most important office. Because it's the last office in Nevada and Wilson. Yep. It is. It is the last office. We will service you. Going into what you said. So one of the reasons I did run, being that student, I have talked to the lead death investigator, which is like the public administrator in Utah. I have talked to the top sheriff deputy of the public administrator in my county. I make my rounds asking questions. Hey, how do you guys do what's your procedure? What do you da-da-da-da? I've talked to people in the office here in Nevada, in the current office. So there's a lot of things procedure-wise when it comes to asset inventory that they're not doing that I would love to see done. You know, right now, if something happens and we're called out to a property, you know, they'll have a locksmith come and they'll change the lock on the front door. Well, what about the back door? What about the side door? Yeah. What about the garage? You know, we have buttons now. Right. You know, when they do an asset inventory, right now, it's only one person is required. And I'm not saying people are honest, but you know, people aren't honest, you know, it should be two people.
Yeah, without follow-up, you can never exactly say like.
And I also want it to be filmed. Why can't we have a body cam? You know, we can only have people as honest as we keep them, you know. So there's a few things procedure-wise that I would love to do. As far as how they're processing property of Nevadans, as well as a real big part of my campaign has been about educating people. You know, one of the things I ask people when I'm giving these speeches is, how many of you guys have a will? We have these hands come up. How many of you guys have a trust? We have a few hands. And I'm like, well, how many of you guys know what probate is? And maybe one or two. And I go, how many of you guys have a will again? And they go again. And I'll ask them, I said, well, who likes unexpected bills? And they just start looking. I was like, who likes when their transmission goes out? The plumbing goes out in the house? Okay, well, that's what probate is. Probate is an unexpected bill because if you have a will, guess where you're going? Straight to probate. That is a bill for your family. But people don't know that. And what's the difference between a will and a trust? It's that bill. And it's also a way to maintain the assets, change the assets. It's a movable, livable document, And not just that, with all the fraud, COVID, so many things have changed with the recorder's office. You used to be able to go and record your wills and trusts with the recorder. Not so much now. They're backlogged. It's kind of weird. But the Secretary of State does have a program where you can upload your documents. So your wills, your DNRs, all of your documents, they can be uploaded. And why do we want to do that? Because if anything happens, you want another, location where these documents can be found. And not just that, you have a will, right? Most people have it where? It's at my attorney's. It's in my safe deposit box. It's in my drawer. My wife has it. Yeah. No, you need about 5 or 6 people to have it. You can't just have one person.
Make sure somebody doesn't change it.
Right. Right. On the campaign trail, I learned a lot about guardianship, which has nothing to do with our office. Got yelled at about it, but I said, listen, when those documents are filed, if people are snatching up seniors and taking their assets, guess what? If you upload these documents and now your assets are accounted for, guess what? You're no longer a target. So maybe now it's some type of insurance for you. So, just trying to educate people on what they can do. And all of the things I'm educating them on are free. Seniors usually have, fixed incomes and that type of thing.
So what are you going to do to change the office?
Well, first, we're going to do a lot of soul searching. There's so much going on. But no, seriously, I definitely am all about acknowledging, people for their work. I have a lot of experience dealing with different types of people and staff from different backgrounds. From all of my, employees and whatnot. But I have a lot of ideas in reference to how to appreciate the employees on a annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly basis.
To bring up morale.
To bring up the morale. Mm-hmm. I want to do some type of continued education. This is a service industry. In law, we have continued education. Mm-hmm. As a teacher, you have continued education. Right. So when you're servicing the public, which can be really stressful, and I've learned that being in the restaurant business, continued education would really, help. So I've got some ideas about how we could, get that office to become united and not split like it has been in the past.
I ran for this office twice.
I know.
And each time I ran, my focus was to educate the public on the office, to teach them about how to not end up in the office.
That's what I tell them.
Right? Yes. Trust and live in will. Right. Are you planning to do something similar?
Stephen, yes, I just said that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No, definitely. And I say that too. I'm like, I don't take it the wrong way. I know you said
continue education, but I want to make sure probate, trust and live in will.
When I'm campaigning, I'm trying to educate the public on the wills, the trust. Okay. And I tell them, because I don't want you in this office. Okay. I want to educate you. But more importantly, I have created partnerships because this office is countywide.
Right.
So I have some community partners that I'm working with right now that has me throughout the county. So right now you can find me in Boulder once a month, Mesquite once a month, Laughlin once a month, North Las Vegas once a month. I mean,
Are you trying to put satellite offices?
Yes. And I've been doing that now. Working with, like I said, community partners, getting out, campaigning, educating, and these are relationships I plan to continue.
And I don't know if I asked you this before, but what makes you qualified?
What makes me qualified?
For this position?
For this position, definitely my experience as a lawyer dealing with legal documents, stateside and internationally.
Okay.
That makes me extremely qualified when it comes to the legal aspect of the position. And then when it comes to the management skills of that office, it's publicly known that that office is in chaos. And managing people is a skill set.
Okay.
Definitely is.
It is a skill set, and I have it.
So on the management skills, and I've known you a little bit, and I've looked into your background and stuff, but the one question I have for you is that I like educating the public on this, and yes, that office is in chaos. But one thing that I hear consistently is that, and it's one of the reasons why I have an issue with large bureaucracies of government, is because from what I've been told, that office doesn't work well with other offices, specifically the county recorder's office.
Okay.
Like there's a wall built up there.
Yeah.
And then, but when you come in, the individual that's running against you has already been there. So one thing, how will you get them to be open to like, hey, I know this is how you've been consistently doing this, but here's the path forward. Like, here's what we need to do. We need to, culture change in any organization is rough, but especially at the government level.
Agreed.
Like, what's your entrance strategy into that? Like, how do you start to kind of break down those and get people into
involved?
Yeah, and get into be willing to have a new idea. Wait a minute, I always put my water bottle here, and now Patsy, you're telling me I got to put it here. Why?
Well, number one, before I get into the details of answering that question, I never tell anyone to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
I always suggest.
Yeah.
And if I'm, really good, I have a conversation and they come to the conclusion that maybe they might want to do that on their own.
Right.
I would never tell anyone to do anything. I have kids. That never works. I know better than that. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So what I've been doing right now, one of my major Democratic supporters is Lynn Boya Clark. Okay. Yeah. I have been working and trying to build relationship with those bottom of the ballot, already in office, those running for currently in office, building a relationship with those people. Yeah. As I said, I'm trying to educate myself in other counties with their PAs. I'm also trying to familiarize myself with the other department heads because my goal, if elected, hopefully when elected, we would do a quarterly meeting, semi-annual, and there would be some union amongst our offices because you're right, it is a problem. Yeah. As far as the people in the office that have been there.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a woman of deep faith.
Yeah.
And I feel that when a hurricane has come to your doorstep or an earthquake, just a life-altering event, you are, sometimes God pushes you in a direction that you should have taken for yourself.
Right.
And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to assume that because of all that has happened in the office, that people are going to be hungry for a change, because we're human, we're empathetic, we have feelings, how could you not after everything that's happened? I would assume there'd be a hunger for, something new and different and,
Do you have anything else for Ms. Brown?
Not a question, statement. Well, first off, I do believe you'll get elected, and I'm pulling for you, and you got my vote. I hope that when you get in there, and I really honestly think you're the type of person that can do it. We start hearing more positive stuff about the public administrator's office.
Definitely.
Because one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm not picking on the public administrator's office, I'm picking on, or not picking on, but just pointing out how all the lower ballot offices seem to go. Like, no one pays attention to the county recorder. People don't pay attention to judges. They don't pay attention to public administrator. And then all of a sudden, when something goes wrong, then that's where the attention goes.
Right.
So hopefully when you get in there, you can get the public to see the good side
Definitely.
of that office.
Definitely.
And I think that will help a lot in getting people more engaged in understanding what that office does.
You know, and it's not just getting the staff excited about the work again, but it's getting the community involved. One of the reasons we're doing the community outreach, people want to be involved.
Right.
People want to be prepared for their lives, of course, but people like to be a part of something, you know? And I'm definitely trying to change the culture of it. You know, when I first went to law school, my friends were laughing. Do you guys see that movie Legally Blonde? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were laughing.
Is that you?
Well, no, it wasn't me. But the attitude, the personality.
Right,
I'm just so bubbly like Patsy.
Yeah.
You know, I try to, if I can't go in and make it better and make a change, I don't even want to do it. Right. You know, it's no fun for me. You know, so I'm really excited about getting all of those different county officers, the heads together and meeting up quarterly and having those ideas. And I'm really excited about what we'll be able to report back about what's going on in the PA's office. I'm really excited to see and, you know, let the public know how much we've advanced. And the public, they'll know they're going to be getting taken care of. Cases will be getting closed.
Right.
You won't be hearing about cases not getting closed. Yeah. You know, I want to knock out that backlog.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Anything that we didn't cover?
No.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the program.
Thank you.
It's very, very inspiring to have you here. And I would like to see a young, fresh perspective in that office, something that's going to brighten it up and make it enjoyable for the other workers that are actually in the office. And I'm a true believer of innocence until proven guilty. So, and I love the way our legal system is set up as well. Okay. With that said, I'd like for you to look at the camera, and Mark is going to zoom in on you. And then you explain why people need to go and make sure they vote all the way down the ballot and why they need to put you in office and your point of contact. Okay. That camera. Okay. Definitely need to go and vote. What did you say? That was a lot for me. Anyway, vote PatsyBrown.com is the website if you want to learn anything else about me, experience, background, endorsements. Make sure you vote. It's very important that you vote. Yeah. That's it? That's it. Okay. That's it. Thank you so much for being on the program. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Folks, that's Patsy Brown. She's a candidate for Clark County Public Administrator. Veterans in Politics. And when we had our Veterans in Politics interview, Patsy Brown could not make it, and she was not there. But I'm a firm believer that Patsy Brown is the right choice for the Public Administrator's Office. Young, legal mind, a joy to be around. And I think that's what we need in that office right now. This is Steve Sampson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Until next time.